Hey there, comic book friends. This is Travis. This is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes and or Ethan doesn't read them or doesn't review them along with me. Still thinking I need to change that. I just can't think of anything smooth to say. Anyway, we're going to talk about books from 2 weeks ago, I believe. First up, we're going to talk about Abe Sapien, issue number 8, ending the Mayan arc. Really interesting. We get some sort of resolution. Abe pretty much knows he's not going to be going back to the BPRD, at least not anytime soon. He's still got stuff to discover about himself, what his role is still in this greater monster type world that is going on around this. It continues to spin this, this post-apocalyptic monster world, and where does Abe fit in it? We've got this figure that's in the background that's working to try and set about some things in motion that inevitably we know Abe is going to run into. This was kind of like a backstory. It told us in this issue, kind of told us some prior experiences that Abe has had, which is interesting. Just kind of getting these little stories, but it's kind of how the Hellboy universe works in some degree. There isn't always a linear story. I mean, mostly in the BPRB book itself, there's a linear story moving along, but in like the Abe Sapiens, the Lobster Johnsons, the Hellboy stuff, you're just getting slices of times in their life when things happened and whatnot, which is just really cool. And in this case, it's cool. You get Abe Sapien exposed to some vampires and dealing with some Mayan deity type things, which is really cool. Interesting that they use Mike Oeming as the artist in this. A lot of people will know him from Dark Horse Victories or I'm drawing a blank on Powers. That's the one I wanted to say. Powers, the book Powers. Great book. They use fill-in artists when they do these kind of stories that aren't about the current timeline but about whatever, gives their artists a break and time to catch up with whatever they do, which I think is a cool way of doing it without skipping months and telling us what still is interesting stories and stuff. So really enjoying this book. Really like Abe. Abe's just a cool character, and so really interesting to see bits and pieces of Abe's life and whatnot. So definitely enjoyable. Coffin Hill issue 3. I am really enjoying this book. To me, this issue here solidifies this thing in kind of the ghost storytelling part of the horror genre, as it were. In the aspects, there's this kind of this haunted-ish kind of a thing. This story feels so much like the kind of story that, when we were kids, you sit around the campfire or with the flashlight, you tell the spooky story of the guy with the claw scraping on the roof of the car that's attacking the lovers, or that sort of thing. I really enjoy it. The artwork in this is outstanding. I think I love the interesting touches. Her when she's using her power. In any way, it's these kind of crow feathers fly around. When Mom uses her powers, we see it more of these flies flushing out and whatnot. She goes to the crazy house and finds her friend who is just completely out of it. She's obviously. He was obviously a good person in the fact that, after she leaves there, she's bothered by the conditions and the way people are treated and stuff, and, goes to the police department, tells them that, and it doesn't seem to matter a whole lot, so she decides she's going back, she's going to go back, and she's going to bust her out or whatever. She has to do something because no one else is doing anything, so, our main character isn't without morals. Obviously, she's drifted through her youth and has done things that wouldn't be considered wholesome. But she has some level of a moral compass, which I enjoy. I like that, and that makes her interesting. The fact that she isn't just goody two shoe, she's not total whack job though either. She goes to to rescue her friend, finds this, the head psychologist is also a psychosurgeon of sorts, and he's obviously up to no good, carving symbols into these people, and he makes reference to her and what her place is in the Coffin Hill world, and what his place is in it, and he tries to to get rid of her. She's saved by her friend. But there's just some great moments in here. There's a great moment here where the friend makes the same crazy face that she made back when they first woke up when they were teens and they'd had the seance or whatever, and the bad things happened and their friend was gone and they were covered in gore and blood. Just some really great stuff in it. I'm enjoying the book more and more. Yeah, that first issue, I'll agree, the way the storytelling was, there were parts of it that were convoluted and a bit confusing. I think every issue, it's become more grounded and more straightforward in a lot of what we're getting and whatnot. And I'm just really digging it. I think it's a great book. Dead Body Road, issue 1. This is by Image Comics. Justin Jordan on the writing of Matt Scarra does the artwork. I believe Justin Jordan has been writing some Green Lantern stuff. Matt Scarra, I believe, is the artist on Black Science. Issue 1, it's somewhat interesting. It's very straightforward. As far as a lot of it goes, there's a bank heist. The bank heist goes either bad or that's how it was the intention, but not all the bank people doing the bank heist realize that was the intention. People get killed. One of the people gets killed as this female officer who is either married to or the love interest of somebody, of our main character, and who works for the police department or doesn't work for the police department. I haven't quite determined that part yet, but he's friends with people in the police department. Those people in the police department give him information to help track down the killers and whatnot, and kind of turn a blind eye after they try to convince him not to go on this revenge against his love, but know that they really can't stop him, kind of a thing. And so this first issue is mostly a hunt down. We get a little bit of information about our criminals. There's one criminal in particular who was kind of like a hacker for them, the tech guy. He wasn't wanting to be involved in any murders. That wasn't what was supposed to happen. He's on the run from the criminals. And, of course, he's also on the run from our main character and whatnot. I believe this is 4 issues. Because it's only 4 issues, not that big of a commitment to me. I do plan on picking up the rest of the issues. Art was pretty good in it. It's interesting. It feels more like... so far, there's nothing special in it. It feels like a crime movie or that sort of thing that I've seen. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's repeating exactly something I've seen, but that sort of stuff. It has all the elements of stuff I'm familiar with, which is okay for a first issue if it have those elements. I'm hoping that it's going to tell us something or reveal something else to us in the next issue. Otherwise, this will just be kind of a, okay read and enjoyable for what that is, but nothing special in and of itself. But I'm going to give it another issue before I make that determination, at least. So, FBP, Federal Bureau of Physics, issue number 6. Nathan Fox cover there. I'm really getting a kick out of this book too. Now we're dealing with our two main characters, Adam and I'm trying to blank on the guy's name, the kind of the gearhead, the scientist of the group. Dealing with them now that protection from physics abnormalities has gone to the private sector, so you can actually buy insurance now. And that sort of thing. We also get introduced to their new partner. The partner's replacing his old partner. And this new partner is incredibly socially awkward. I mean, she's basically socially retarded in the fact that, she just says what's on her mind and doesn't seem to get empathy to a large degree so far from what we've seen from her. She's really interesting. She was in a place in like Arizona, which is kind of where everybody wants to be, and she transferred from there to where they're at, which they all seems kind of odd, but they realize after they find out how socially awkward she is that maybe that's why she got transferred and stuff. They get stuck exploring this building that has time issues in it. Time moves faster inside the building than it does outside the building, which is, I guess, a relatively normal phenomenon in their whole world of warped physics. But things are a little worse in some places. Our socially awkward character has some discussions with some people, thinks there's something going on there, so after she leaves, she decides that she should go back there, and things go horribly wrong for her when she goes back. I'm enjoying the book. I think it's really interesting, just curious to see where it goes. I'm interested by this whole, now that the private sector has part of the physics and whatnot. This issue didn't have to do with the larger machinations of what caused that to happen, but I'm sure we'll get back to that at some point. But now I got this other little smaller story going on here of somebody doing something somewhat diabolical, it seems, inside of this building, and what's going to happen, and what's going to happen to this new woman that's part of their group and stuff. And yeah, cool book for something different. King's Watch issue number 3. Book has the pulpy elements that you would expect from these really old characters, Flash Gordon, the Phantom, and Mandrake. It's a little, this issue was a little too cheesy and a little too put together in those kinds of pulpy kinds of things. I dig the idea of these characters being together and doing something, but it kind of lacked a whole lot all the way around. Other than just the enjoyment and amusement of having these characters in a book together. Nothing really special here. I think I have 2 more issues. Obviously, I finished picking it up, but nothing that's that gripping that I would say, oh my gosh, people should be going out and getting that. So there's that. Lazarus issue number 5 with, I'm sorry, I absolutely love this book, but this has got to be one of the worst covers I have seen of the year. I understand this is supposed to be our main character. Forever, and supposed to be her as a little girl. It just proportionally looks jacked up, and it looks kind of computer animated and just wrong on a number of levels. So I'm not really excited by that cover. The rest of the covers have been great. They all look like they are action movie posters or something like that. This one's like, whew. But that being said, the story in here is excellent. We get to see, Eve with her family dealing with all that. But we also get to see her outside of being told what she's supposed to be doing and just doing her job. We get this bit of her on the border with another family syndicate kind of a thing. And we get to see just how much of a badass and how much she takes charge of things. And I'm not meaning badass as in she can pull her sword out and chop people to a million bits, because we've seen that. But just, she gets shot in the back by this other family on the other side over there, and instead of starting a whole war over it, she basically turns around and basically tells them, hey, look, this was a pretty severe transgression. If it was an individual working by themselves and whatever, and you were to take care of it, and we would consider that satisfactory. But if you don't take care of this rogue agent, and that will lead us to believe that this is an attack on the Carlisle family, and that we surely will go to war, and you will all be punished severely. Well, the guys on the border don't really want to go to war. So they basically pick the guy that shot her and they execute him there on the spot. But it just demonstrates how much of a badass that she is, how much she really is in charge. She's not purely a puppet moving about and destroying whatever her father says needs to be destroyed. She does have a greater job, and she executes large parts of that job quite effectively. We also get a great moment here where she goes back and she meets the daughter of the man that she had executed for stealing the seeds, even though she knows she didn't, and she kind of apologizes, and they have this kind of really awkward conversation about the fact she knows that she executed somebody that really wasn't responsible, but somebody needed to be executed to keep things in line, kind of thing. So that was really interesting. And of course, at the end of this, we still get that playing on the back of her mind about the fact she got this message saying, this isn't your family. Meet me and I'll tell you, we'll tell you who your real family is, or whatever. That's all really fascinating. Of course, we also get this early exposure to father when she's a little girl, trying to say all the right words, but action-wise not accomplishing it, and the father figure is very harsh on her. That's interesting too. Really excellent book, really well put together, really well thought out, giving us more and more to build on these characters and all the secondary characters, enriching who they are in a very organic way that Greg Rucka seems to do so well. To give us this stuff in a way that just feels right with reading the story as opposed to an information dump of sorts. So excellent. Manifest Destiny issue 2, still really digging this book. Second issue was not a letdown. Loving the art by Matthew Roberts and Owen Ginning. Just this kind of classic illustrated kind of a look to it in a sense, with some modern flair in it. Our two, our explorers go further in. They get to a fort. The fort's been abandoned. They see this woman leap off of a cliff. They can't figure out what's happened to her, other than they have a shape of vegetation that looks like her body. All kinds of bizarre stuff. They get attacked by a ton of these centaur buffalo things, which is really cool. Get this hilarious moment where Clark is talking to Lewis. I mean, good to know that even back in this times, men can be juvenile at times. Kind of having a discussion about him seeing a female version of these Minotaur and whatnot. They obviously don't wear clothes, and how well endowed she was. It's pretty ridiculous, but pretty funny at the same time. And then the book ends on this exposure as they're in this fort that seems abandoned. The church in the fort has been boarded over. They rip the boards off. They go inside, and they find somebody inside, and the people inside are organic. They look like they're made of plants, basically, like plant zombies or something. So be really excited to see where the book goes. I'm just digging it. I mean, I think it's really cool. It's not, insulting to anybody, I don't think, in any way, as far as the whole Manifest Destiny and what that means in America, and how we steamrolled across the West and pretty much stomped on everybody that got in our way. It's touching less on that, even though that's the name of it, because I think the name itself, Manifest Destiny, it not only does it draw those images, you could draw other images from that title. So right now it has less to do with that steamroll than it does to have to do with this little thing that they're exposed to and what does it mean and whatnot. And I don't even know if we're ever going to get past this. And will this book ever make it clear to the west coast of the United States or not? I don't know, but pretty cool so far. I'm really having a fun time with it. Then there's Darrow and Stewart's Shaolin Cowboy number 3. I still question whether or not Sleepy Reader 666 owes me money on this book or not, considering what we're getting out of it. About half the book continues to still be this whole, two split screen that we have from the last issue of him chopping people up, but his saws run out of gas. So then he's left to just running across the top of their heads, smacking them and stuff. There's some really bizarre moments. At the very beginning of this book, you have like a bikini model standing there and somebody's taking her picture, and the background is a sea of these zombies and whatnot. What that has to do with anything, I have no idea. It's just bizarre. But in reality, Sleepy doesn't owe me any money because despite the price tag on this thing, it has been a lot of fun just in what it is. I mean, I would be irritated if a lot of my comics are this way, but having this one book that's just kind of venturing off in this whole thing, I'm fine with it. It's fun. It's kind of like the Multiple Warheads book by Graham, in that it's so marching to its own beat, its own drum, on what it's doing, what it's saying, and how it's saying it, that it's cool. It's cool for that you're just getting this kind of wow out there exposure. I don't know how many issues this thing is supposed to be. Must not be an ongoing. It's 4 or 5 issues. Like there's 1 or 2 more issues left. Curious to see how it ends, what it ends with. All. And of course, the very back page, there's kind of another gag picture that they have back there of another time in the Shaolin Cowboys history. That's pretty funny. cool for what it is. If you dig this kind of uber detailed art, you know, and how fastidious he is about drawing all the tattoos and wrinkles and folds and creases and grossness of zombies and all of that. It's a great book. It really is. It's cool for that. But if you are limited on your comic book money, I would be hard pressed to actually tell you this is a book you should go pick up. But I've been really digging it just for the bizarrety of it. Six Gun, issue number 36. Still continues to be one of my favorite comic books out there. Absolutely love it. I never hear enough people talking about the thing. I know some people were picking up in trades. Don't know if you guys are still picking up trades or not. I hope you are. Check out Dr. Strangelife's video. He actually went to a signing where the guys from Six Gun were signing that beautiful, oversized hardback version that's out of the Six Gun. Talks to Colin and talks to Brian there, and that's just an awesome video. Getting to see them in their environment, cool guys, signing and talking about the book and stuff. Really cool. Check that video out. It's a few videos back in his, but definitely check that out. At any rate, book's still really cool. Our gang is kind of settling in, trying to figure out what's next for them. They're starting to make plans. It really kind of gets pointed out even more that Becky's a new person now that she's back. Less naive, more strong, maybe a little colder. Maybe the ice is breaking between her and Kirby. I kind of hope not, because I really don't care for the Kirby character that much. Drake is becoming more and more of the mother hen, trying to protect her, which I love. I'm drawing a blank on the mummy's name. The bad guys kind of get to him. That may be bad. He's been kind of the person that's been kind of churning out what they need to do next, because they're kind of lost for clues, and he can kind of force himself to see the future. But as he does that, he hurts himself more and more physically doing that, but they keep pressuring him. And so he's starting to crack, and the bad guys are getting to him through that. We're getting more exposure to the Native Americans that are in this, and potentially how they might play more into this now. Really cool book. It's so good. It's so excellent. Yeah, I hope people are still picking this book up. Nobody's thought about dropping it or anything, because it's outstanding. I want to see it come to its full conclusion. Issue 3. Love the cover there. Book's starting to get more interesting as they are now, in full pursuit. The 300 are in full pursuit of our three people. We get a little more exposure to each of the three people that are running from them, where they came from, what their history is, except for one of the guys. We don't get much of a history other than he keeps saying that he's a butcher. And obviously he's not the kind of butcher that chops meat, because he is extremely skilled in killing people, which is interesting. That part's interesting. We get this hunt down. The guy that basically was the only survivor of these people killing them, basically gets shamed and kicked out, and disowned. He's gathering his own trackers to hunt them down. He's going to put them down, hopefully, before the rest of the Spartans can get to him. The book is getting more interesting, because it's becoming less feeling like a history lesson and more just now we're getting into this story. So I'm really enjoying that. As usual, I absolutely love Ryan Kelly's artwork. He continues to knock it out of the park as far as his his facial features, the movement, the storytelling that's involved, whether there are words or not. He's just very good at doing that. And of course, Jody Bellary is becoming top, not becoming, he is a top tier artist, and is getting some great books to work on. So that's pretty awesome. And that is it for this week for No Capes. I should be back hopefully later on in the week, even maybe with the rest of those for this week's books. Anyway, have a great one, everybody.